There may be many reasons why you need to reprint an employee's paycheck. One of those reasons might simply be that the employee lost a copy of either their paycheck or their pay advice, and you need to reprint it for them. It could be that something happened during the payroll process where either you had the wrong paper in the printer or the printer malfunctioned and you need to reprint some of your payroll checks or all of the payroll checks and or advices. So we have a way within CenterPoint to be able to do that without having to void your pay run and redo all of the work that you've already been through. To get to that process within payroll that is standalone, you're going to go to processes and reprint payroll checks and advices. Now, if you're integrated with one of our accounting products, you'll go to processes payroll, reprint payroll checks and advices. When I select that option up at the top, you're going to choose to reprint either payroll checks or payroll advices. So you can't do them at the same time, but you can do one and then select the other. The filters that you see after that are going to be the same for payroll advices versus payroll checks. Okay, the most common filter that you're going to select is a batch, which is actually the pay run itself. So if I click on that, I see a list of my previously posted pay runs. And if I know which one I want to reprint checks from, I can select that. And that needs to be the only filter really that I need to select for that. Okay, I could select additional filters to narrow it down further. For example, I could select a specific company that the checks were printed for. I could select checks from a specific employee. I can choose checks that were written out of a specific bank account. And I could also do a date range, but typically if you choose a batch, you don't choose a date range, or if you choose a date range, you don't choose a batch because they can conflict with each other. You could choose a date range that's outside of the batch and then you wouldn't have any results. Okay, you can also narrow things down further by selecting checks that were from a certain check number sequence. For example, if I needed to reprint checks number 250 and 251, I could go ahead and put those numbers in here. However, just remember that if your checks begin with leading zeros, you need to include those leading zeros, because if I don't, for example, if I put in 250 to 251 here and click search, I'm going to wind up with no results. But if I had put in 00250 to 00251, 251, and click the search, then I would wind up with the results that I expected. So just need to make sure that you put those leading zeros in there. I'm going to clear that, and the clear button does clear your selected filters other than the batch filter up at the top. Okay, since I only need to really select my batch filter up at the top, I'm going to click the search button. And then what is going to display below once you click the search button are the results of those items that you filtered for. Now, if I needed to reprint all of these, I could simply choose the option down on the bottom left to check all, and then click print to reprint that whole group of checks. Okay, I don't need to reprint all of them, so I'm going to uncheck all of them. The only two I need to reprint are check number 250 and 251. So you could either check them all or you could check individual ones that you want to reprint. Now, I could just simply reprint those by clicking the print button, and it would ask me which printer I want to print those to. It's going to actually bring up what I've got selected in preferences normally for printing payroll checks. So it's just going to ask me to verify that those are the same options that I want to include or want to select, and then click OK, and it'll go ahead and print them. Now, if, however, I needed to change those transaction numbers. So let's say checks number 250 and 251 got bunched up in the printer and they got destroyed. So maybe I need to actually assign them to a new check number. I can select those two, and then before I reprint them, I can click the change transaction number at the bottom and then click print. and then that'll give me that same option to let me verify my printer preferences. And then if I click OK, it'll ask me what my next check number is. And so I just want to verify what that next check number is. If it's not correct, I'll overwrite it, and then it'll assign that number to the first one it prints and the next number to the next one it prints. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll print them, and you'll notice that on the screen we don't normally, it doesn't get refreshed, so I don't see that it changed 250 and 251 to 252 and 253 until I click the search button again, and then it'll refresh that screen, and now I can see that it's 250 and 252 and 253. Okay, when I'm done with reprinting the checks, I can simply click the close to close this screen.